Our commander-in-chief is not in command. Is not in command.
Last night was President Joe Biden's State of the Union address, followed by the Republican response from Katie Britt, the junior senator from Alabama. And it was so terrible that even Republicans are slamming her, both privately and publicly. So I'm going to get to a bit of that later on in this video. First, I got to show you some clips from this incredible speech. So we covered this last night. Me and a few of my friends covered this, both the State of the Union with Joe Biden, followed by the response. And while we were watching this, it was clear to us that it was terrible. I mean, I had a hard time watching because of how terrible the acting is. You're going to see it. This overdramatic cadence, this very quick turn from, being smiling and happy to being very dramatic and dark. It's the whole thing was so over the top. Just it played like a terrible audition tape. So, and it was further confirmed to me how terrible it was when I checked online and everybody was slamming it. So let me first get to the first clip here from Matt Lewis sharing this out, saying, I tried to find the 30 or so seconds that best illustrates Katie Britt's overacting / emotional roller coaster last night. She goes from happy to sad to outraged. So this is all within 30 seconds. Check this out.
I have imagined what my story would entail. To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime. It's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare for so many families. The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this. I have imagined.
It is just, just amazing to go from that. Excuse me. It is so, look, I covered Kirsten Sinema, who recently announced that she's not running for re-election for Senate in Arizona. And I deemed her in my video like the most fake politician that I have seen. Just overly dramatic, incredibly phony. Katie Britt here gives Sinema a run for her money. I mean, both of them, I think, are neck and neck. After the speech, I may give it to Katie Britt. It is just so, it is so terrible, such terrible acting that nobody, even Republicans who fall for a lot of terrible acting, did not fall for this one. Another clip here from Justin saying, I am dying over the intense delivery of every single syllable here.
Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers. China is buying up our farmland, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the CCP knows that if it conquers the minds of our next generation, it conquers America.
Unbelievable.
And what does President Biden do? Well, he bans TikTok for government employees, but creates an account for his own campaign. Y'all, you can't make this stuff up.
Yeah, y'all.
Look, we all recall when presidents faced national security threats with strength and resolve. That seems like ancient history. Right now, our commander-in-chief is not in command.
Oh
the free world deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader.
Oh my God. Come on. The world deserves better than a dying and diminished leader. It is terrible. Part of the problem, I mean, this isn't, they're all reading off teleprompters, obviously. So some have a better ability to do that. But this is somebody that I think would be better off a teleprompter, like without the teleprompter. Just give her some bullet points to work off of and let her deliver, a speech naturally if she has that ability. A lot of people can't do that because this is not working. trying to read this teleprompter as if she's delivering the performance of her life. At least in her mind, she is. It comes off so fake. Got one more here. This is from Aaron Rupar. This is just a quick one. It's really funny. If you see if you can catch this.
Are you better off now than you were 3 years ago? There's no doubt we're at a crossroads, and it doesn't have to be this way.
As Aaron writes here, what about 4 years ago? Excuse me. Normally they mention, for the election's coming up. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago, during the last president? Why don't you mention that? Is it maybe because COVID was raging? Trump was doing an absolutely terrible job managing it. So she mentions 3 years ago. It's a little sleight of hand there. Try and catch the audience off guard. Just amazing. Yashar Ali tweeting out here, I've watched thousands of hours of political videos in the past 20 years, and I've never seen anything like Senator Katie Britt's rebuttal to the State of the Union. And that was a sentiment being shared across a lot of people. So Rolling Stone has this piece out. Writing, into the late hours of the night, Rolling Stone was inundated, sometimes completely unprompted, with messages from longtime GOP operatives, right-leaning pollsters, conservative Capitol Hill staff, MAGA lawyers, and even some senior members of Trump's own 2024 campaign, absolutely torching Britt's absurdly overdramatic rebuttal. Quote, what the hell am I watching right now? A Trump advisor asked mid-Britt remarks. Creepy, one of the Republican pollsters noted. A lawyer working in the Trump orbit says the performance reminded them of public access television, and a senior House congressional aide remarks that it was cringe-inducing to watch and likely destined to be turned into a lame SNL skit this weekend. I'll give Biden this. He at least gave a better speech than Katie Britt, one national Republican consultant said bluntly. So it didn't go over very well with Republicans either. More here. This is from the Daily Beast. The performance was so bad that some Republicans watched the high-profile speech with a grimace. A GOP strategist told the Daily Beast that Britt's delivery quickly became a gossip item Thursday night among operatives connected to Donald Trump, something that could have potential implications for her consideration as a vice presidential pick for the former president. Quote, everyone is effing losing it, this Republican said, requesting anonymity to discuss the private conversations. It's one of our biggest disasters ever. So it's worth noting the individual that the party picks to give these responses usually is someone that they want to kind of, invest in, give them a platform, usually somebody who is maybe new to the party. They want to help to build the next generation of politicians within the party. So this choice to pick Katie Britt was made because they wanted to lift up her profile, potentially setting her up for VP. This likely killed any shot of that happening. The fact that even Republicans connected to Trump despised this speech, I think is a pretty solid indication that Katie Britt ruined any chance she has at taking that VP spot. Now, publicly, there was also a lot of reactions. So credit here to MTN and Ron Flakowski for putting these tweets together. So these are all Republicans and their reactions. Jesse Kelly here writing, not what I'd prefer out of the GOP response, but there's no question Katie Britt has mastered the ultimate weapon of dimes everywhere, the fake cry. That's a seasoned pro right there. If you're able to recognize that the cry is fake, then I'm not sure you've mastered the cry. Because the whole point of mastering the fake cry is to ensure people don't know you're faking it. Jack here writing, did Katie Britt even mention Trump once? Their obsession with Trump. That wasn't the issue with the speech. That's for sure. Adam Torba here writing, Katie Britt should have been tucking her kids into bed, not giving a melodramatic political speech. The GOP is desperately trying to pander to women voters with other women. Anyone who understands women knows this will never work. Women hate other women. What women want and are attracted to is a strong, masculine, authoritative man. Is there a single one of these men in the GOP? This this goes to as well. I mean, when I covered the results from Super Tuesday, I showed a couple of clips from Republican voters who were supporting Trump and were very vocally not for Nikki Haley and gave very sexist remarks, both a woman and a man, in regards to Nikki Haley. So this is a common sentiment among right-wing voters, among GOP voters. So, yeah, I guess that response makes sense in that context. Steve D's here writing, I decided to go back and watch all of Katie Britt's response. I cannot believe it is real. It's the worst and most cringe political performance I've ever seen that wasn't a fictional portrayal. It's parody come to life, albeit unintentional. I cannot believe it is real. Part of this is, as well, is since Trump became the leader of the party, there has been this shift away from fake politicians, at least in the sense that when it comes to what the voters want to see in terms of a leader of their party, Trump, for all his, as terrible as he is, for all his faults, part of the reason why he's so popular is because he comes off as authentic. And that is a massive benefit to him. He comes off as not your typical politician. Katie Britt here comes off as not only your typical politician, but the worst of the worst when it comes to the acting portion of being a politician. So this is completely counter to what Republicans in the past, 8 years or so have come to expect from a Republican leader. George here writing, I never want to see Katie Britt anywhere near Mike ever again. Republicans got the opportunity to dunk on this horrible speech and capitalize on a disgruntled country, and the response made people sympathize with Biden. Could have had Josh Hawley, Tuberville Vance. Anyone could have done a much better job. Competence over pretty next time, please. Again, notice he only mentions men here. And again, another bit of a sexist response here. The issue isn't that, she wasn't a man or that even really anything with what she was saying, because whatever any Republican's going to say in a response to a speech like this, it's going to be ridiculous from the perspective of reality. But the real problem here, for just generally for the politics of it, is the delivery of it, the overdramatic nature of it. And also, there's a lot of comments about the setting. It's set in a kitchen, which also bizarre choice. Another reaction here from a right-winger, Laura Loomer. Why is Katie Britt's voice like that? She really is trying to get an Oscar. It's just too weird to watch. Had to shut it off. Why does the GOP always give us their worst GOP State of the Union response reply ever? And Charlie Kirk here saying, I'm sure Katie Britt is a sweet mom and person, but this speech is not what we need. Joe Biden just declared war on the American right. That's not what I watched, but anyways. And Katie Britt is talking like she's hosting a cooking show, whispering about how Democrats don't get it. So, similar reactions here in terms of the overacting from some of the responses, but with an added layer of sexism intertwined throughout all of it. But it is, look, we're all going to, I'm sure most people are going to forget about this in a week. Then again, that Marco Rubio response where he reached for a glass of water during the speech awkwardly, people still bring that up from time to time. So this may hurt Katie Britt just generally politically going into the future. But it's tough to predict that right now. One thing's for sure, though, that was an absolutely terrible speech.